Hello people, it's Tuesday the 19th of October 2010. This is a reply I got from Mr. CARWYN Jones's office. It's made by Brian Gould, Head of Housing and Quality Standards. It's ironic, isn't it? It reads, Dear Mr. Gabriel, thank you for your letter addressed to CARWYN Jones AM, received on the 22nd of September. I have been asked to reply. In your letter you've raised concerns and suggested that all social housing in Wales should be transferred to Housing Association. In Wales, all social housing must achieve the Welsh Housing Quality Standard by 2012 or soon thereafter and maintain it for the life of their business plans. It is for each individual local authority in Wales to determine, with the support of tenants, if they can retain their housing stock and achieve the standard or consider alternatives such as housing stock transfer. To date in Wales, 10 local authorities have transferred their housing stock to newly formed housing associations. Other authorities such as Cardiff have advised that they can achieve the standard and retain their stock. We share your concerns regarding the monies that are returned to HM Treasury and the impact this has upon Welsh local authorities and tenants, and that is why in 2009 the Deputy Minister of Housing and Regeneration commissioned an independent review of housing revenue account subsidy arrangements in Wales. We are working closely with Welsh local government associations to develop options for reform and in discussion with the UK government to ensure that provision within the forthcoming Decentralisation and Localism Bill announced in the Queen's speech are appropriate for Wales and made in a Welsh context. You have indicated in your letter that you are looking to be rehoused. This is an issue for your local authority. It is a responsibility of local authorities to manage and allocate their social housing according to need and in compliance with their lettings policy. I would therefore suggest you contact your local authority's housing department and discuss your requirements. Signed, Brian Gould. He's the head of Housing Quality Standards. It's obvious that he hasn't read any of my blogs other than the letter CARWYN Jones must have given to him. There's no office address of Mr. Brian Gould on this letter. There's an English inquiry line, there's the Welsh Assembly Government, and that's it. No email address, nothing. So I suppose I got to make another blog about this, a second letter, open letter to CARWYN Jones. If Mr. Gould had read any of the blogs, then he'd know that this property doesn't meet minimum building standards regulations. It never has for the 11 years that I've been living here. I call it mental cruelty because it is. And if Mr. Gould lived here for a time, I'm sure that his wife would agree, if he is married, that is. Doesn't meet minimum building standard regulations, Mr. Gould. I understand that CARWYN Jones is a barrister. Would Mr. Jones ever represent anybody in his barrister capacity for an illegal letter of property that doesn't conform? Or is it illegal? Is it illegal for a council to let out below minimum standard building regulation properties? I suggest to you, Mr. Gould, that the answer to that question is no. Not that the local government ombudsman has been willing to agree with that opinion of mine, but I'm sure if the boot was on the other foot and you were living here, Mr. Gould, you'd be saying, well, I think it's illegal too. There we go. So Mr. Gould, you haven't read any of the issues, you haven't noticed that I've been applying to Cardiff County Council to be rehoused since 2002, and they have all sorts of shenanigans for not processing my applications, like returning it saying, you haven't put an area where you'd like to go. They never respond to the question, well, excuse me, can you tell me where you have either a two-bedroom property that I might move into or a bungalow that I might move into in any area in Cardiff? I don't care if it's a housing association. I don't mind being transferred to a housing association property, but they won't even do that for me, Mr. Gould. So in my response to this, Mr. Gould, I'm saying that you are aiding and abetting the Welsh Assembly in its hate crime towards me by not being involved and making sure that Cardiff County Council do process their applications. Have a look at the blog where I talk about the adult services, and they're dumping me off of any complaint that I had with them. And I should imagine that the same person is in charge of adult services, who was there when I first put in my complaint to them. And I forget the guy's name offhand now, but I should imagine he's still being well paid and doing jack shit for vulnerable adults who are tenants of Cardiff County Council. So, yeah, for all those people who don't read blogs, I've made this video. It sucks your letter, Mr. Gould, that you call yourself the head of housing quality standards when this property has never conformed to minimum building standard regulations, well documented in all of my blogs up till this date. Smacks of, you know, complicity. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, and about Mr. Cameron's get people out of social housing. In social housing, at least you have security of tenure that you don't in the private sector.